Hi makers, welcome to January's Maker Box. Hey, thanks for sticking around with me and welcome to the new members. So it is very cold today, so we're glad to be inside, and I hope you guys are all staying warm. So this month's box is all about Valentine's, and I think you'll like it. It's going to be fun. Keep it out, for the season, and then pull it out next year. And don't forget to write your little to-do list on it, reminders, notes, whatever you want to use it for. So yeah, I'm glad you're here, and I'm going to drop this camera down and we'll get started. You're going to want to start by separating all of your pieces. I like to separate them into piles by color. This just helps me to navigate through. When I have one color on my paint, then I can just do all of those pieces in that color. I start by painting the big back piece. As you can see, I'm getting my brush wet and then squeezing out the excess. This will help that paint to glide smoothly. And you'll also see that I only do a very thin light coat because we'll do a little bit of distressing at the end. This is totally up to you. If you want to do a full coverage, then by all means let your paint dry and then do another coat on top of that. Just remember that thin coats, thin layers are going to dry much faster and smoother. This is where you would continue to paint all of your white pieces as we had separated them out in the beginning. This is where I was talking about, since you've already got the white paint on, to continue to paint all of your white pieces. Once you finish with your white pieces, then you'll just continue, wash your brush, of course, continue painting your pieces according to the piles that you have them laid out in with the colors that you're wanting each pile painted. To create the stained look, I simply took the brown paint with a wet sponge brush and lightly brush over the pieces. You'll see that I use very little paint. This just is going to create that stained look, but if you want to have that full coverage again, by all means, simply continue to paint, more heavy than I do. I spread the paint very thin, and having that wet brush is going to allow you to do that. And this is how I get that stained look and finish. Remember to use your painter's tape sticky side up. This will help hold those little pieces in place for you while you paint them and save your fingers, unlike I do through most of this video. Remember that you can get many uses out of the sponges that are in your kit simply by cutting off the end pieces or going long ways if you need a skinny piece and just use those sponges as you need them. Okay, let's do this distressing. How fun. So you can take that chip brush, just dip your ends down in that brown paint just a little bit, and then you'll see me offload this brush. That's the most important part, is to offload that brush, almost making it dry. And then just very lightly go over that, loading more on the edges, and then just pulling it through. And you can go as light or as heavy with this. I always like to start a little on the light side and then I'll add to it. You'll see in the end that it ends up being a lot more than what I started with, but it's always best to start light and then add to it. On the white heart, you'll see me do a little bit of dry brushing on it as well. I just go around the edges of it though. And so then I just used the sponge brush that I had previously used in the black paint, and just took that sponge brush across the scalloped edge just ever so lightly, letting it catch some of that paint. I continued to distress lightly over the white pieces. Again, just continuing to use that leftover paint that was on the white, or I'm sorry, on the black sponge. And then I used the leftover white paint on that sponge to distress the pink pieces. Again, just very lightly, whatever paint was left on there. To get the white dots or what is supposed to look like tacks on the pieces to hold the paper down, I simply took the end of the detail brush, the tip of it, put it into some paint, and then just swirled it around. You'll see the indentation of where the circle should be on the piece of wood, and so I just simply tried to fill that in that way, and that's how we got those circles. This is where you're going to want to add your frame. You'll see that this is not where I added my frame, and I put the letters way up higher than what I should have, the you and me letters, and I had a problem. So, lesson learned. This is where you'll want to take and add your frame at this point before you add the you and me so that you'll know where to place all of your pieces. Then you'll want to use some of the super glue, obviously, to place your frame. And then just dots is all you need. It's not going to take a lot. As you can see, I put a dot on each side of the shelf brackets. And then that's going to be a tight fit. You want that to be a tight fit. I promise you they'll go down in there. And then just continue to work and add your pieces using the glue and put it all together. Make sure whenever you're placing your pieces that hold your roll of paper that your squares are lined up. If you put one up and one down, your rod will not line up. So you're going to want to make sure that you put them squares lined up to hold that rod. You simply take your two blank straight pieces that are remaining and glue them together. This is going to create the rod that the paper is going to go on. And then you just simply slide them through your pieces that you've got stuck on the board. Again, make sure you have added your frame before you do this next step with placing your pieces that are going to hold your paper down, because if that frame is there, you're going to use that frame to line them up much easier than just trying to eye it. They'll sit flush against the edge of that frame. Also, at this point, be sure to only add glue drops at the very end of each of these pieces. This will allow that paper to slide through. Continue gluing and add your pieces with just simply, again, using glue sporadically and dotting. feed your paper through the bars there, and you may have to use some tweezers or something to get that started. I did end up flipping my roll over. It seemed to feed through better. And so you just have to kind of work with it a little bit. It will go through there. You may have to pull up on the bar a little bit to get a little bit of a gap there, but just work with it and it'll come through there. Glue your ring to the back side of your nightlight cover. Now, whenever you go to put this ring on your nightlight, it is going to be a very snug fit, but I promise you that it will work, and just continue to work on getting that down on there. we're ready to add that hanging piece on the back side of your picture. And so you're just going to put a couple of glue dots on that and find your center best you can and simply glue that on there and then run some twine through it. That's how you're going to hang this piece. Thanks, makers. Hope you enjoy your January box.